Guys, your 20s and your 30s are the most important decades of your life because these decades decide how the rest of your life is going to go. So if you get these 2 decades wrong, you're likely to screw up the rest of your life. Very easy way that people screw up their lives buying things they can't afford. These are 7 of your biggest wealth killers in your 20s and 30s. Number 1 is lifestyle inflation. How times have you heard someone say that I've gotten a raise, I'm going to buy a new car? Feels good to buy stuff to reward yourself. Just because you have a high salary doesn't mean you can afford things. You might be able to pay the car payment of $1,000, but that isn't the total cost of the car. You also have to pay for maintenance, insurance, registration, car battery if it died, and gas. Most people can't afford these other essentials. So they end up taking out more debt to pay their car payments. Besides cars, apartments are a huge underrated way that people inflate their lifestyles. A new apartment as soon as they get a raise. The problem with a new apartment is maintenance expenses are even higher than that of a cheaper apartment. If you get a $3,000 per month apartment, your fees are going to be way higher than if you got a $2,000 apartment. So like the car, whilst you can afford to buy the apartment up front, you might not be able to maintain that lifestyle and sustain the maintenance fees and pay the maintenance fees continuously if you were to lose your job through your savings. You have nothing else other than a high income, you can't afford these things. The biggest problem with lifestyle inflation isn't even the amount of money that you're spending, it's the reason why you're spending the money. The reason people inflate their lifestyle is because they want to impress other people. Whether it's their grandmother, whether it's their parents, whether it's their girlfriend, their friends, their coworkers, whoever it is, the main reason they do this is because they want to appear wealthy instead of actually being wealthy. But I promise you, half of the people who waste their money on things, they have no savings, they have no investments, and they have no plans to save or invest. They want to show off validation, even if it costs them their savings, even if it costs them their finances. Getting a degree, an $80,000 that's going to evolve to a $150 debt down the road that they can't pay off. Well, now in their old age, they're still paying for mistakes that they made when they were 18 years old. Haven't cleared their credit card debts, they pay their loans, they buy now, pay later. They haven't removed these things even 50 years later. That problem could be solved by not even getting involved in it in the first place. Your best cure is no involvement at all. Things because you need them or you want them. Let no one's opinion have nothing to do with what you buy. Your opinion and your opinion is the only reason that matters when you buy something. Don't inflate your lifestyle, financial defenses, inflate your savings, inflate your investments. Don't inflate your lifestyle unnecessarily. The next thing is high interest debts. These are aggressive debts that are over 8%. Aggressive forms of debt. These aggressive forms of debt on things that aren't even assets or if they are, depreciating assets. Credit cards, for example, have a 20% APR annually. 20% annual APR means if you don't pay off the balance, your balance for next year is going to exponentially increase. And this is why apartments don't accept credit cards as a payment method for your rent. Because if they did, you would quickly become a very unreliable tenant who cannot pay his fees because he has no mobility to borrow any more money from the banks to pay his rent. Of course, paying your rent with a credit card is going to mean even more debts to pay off in your coming years. In the coming years, you can't buy something, don't put it on a credit card. Save up for it, get a high-paying salary, buy cash, or don't buy it at all. High interest debt is a killer. Whether it's buy now, pay later, whether it's pay later loans, these aggressive forms of debt, they destroy your wealth, and they will out-earn and outpace your ability to invest. Returns a maximum of 10% per year. But credit cards, the APR never ever ends. The next thing is food. Has anyone noticed the price of food nowadays is super, super expensive? 10 years ago, you could get footlong Subway, average footlong Subway for like $15. Now it's like $25. It's double the price for the same thing. Or maybe it's even smaller now. I have no idea. 10 years ago, you could get a huge Subway. I'll have a picture of it here. You get a huge Subway refillable extra large drink. You can just stay in the store, drink it all up, and then refill it. But nowadays that's gone. They don't have those anymore. Ritz packets used to be way bigger, and now they're super super small. Because companies, they want to make as much profit as possible. So what they do is they'll either shrink the um the size of the food or the item, but then keep the price the same, or they will increase the price of the item and keep the price. They'll, they'll increase the price of the item and just keep the same size. In either wait, shit. In either example, you're paying more for less. In either example, you're paying more for less. And that's just two examples. If you're ordering, and that's just two examples. If you're doing DoorDash, Menulog, you're going to be paying much more in fees, which means you should either just you you'll be paying much more in fees, which means you'll be paying much more in fees. So you really just you, you'll be paying much more in fees. So you may as well go to the store and get it yourself or cook it at home. I don't know, but DoorDash is not worth it either. Honestly, guys, unless you genuinely have no savings, you should start investing as soon as possible. As soon as you have a minimum of 3 months worth of expenses, you should start to invest. You don't need to put all your money after your bills, after your paycheck, but you should start to invest money after you have a minimum of 3 months worth of savings. Because if you wait decades, it'll become even harder for you to properly invest because you might have kids now, paying more for your car, your house. And as you get older, because you don't have as much time on your side, now you'll have to invest more money. You're 60 years old and you haven't started to invest, you'll need to invest tens of thousands of dollars per month to hit the same millions of dollars, to hit the same millions that you would have easily reached by just investing $200 a month in your 20s. Start investing now, as early as you can. And actually, if instead of investing, you're having a child that you can't afford, you're getting a house you can't afford, you're getting assets you can't afford, you'll be missing out on so much money because that money that you're putting onto your child or onto an asset, that could go into investments exponentially more in the next 20, 30, 40 years. Extra $20,000 into the stock market. Watch that too. Delaying your investments, delaying your assets has a bigger opportunity cost. The cost of delaying assets, the cost of delaying investing is exponentially more buying something super expensive. You can't get that time back. Underrated way people lose money is actually creeping subscriptions. Whether it's an extra $13 a month, $50 a month, $20 a month, people have at least one subscription in their direct debit account that they haven't killed off yet, that they haven't deleted yet. And randomly, once a month, maybe twice a month, $50, $30, $10 deducted from accounts because they never canceled this, because they never canceled their subscription, because they never canceled that subscription. And it might not seem like a lot of money, but if you're paying $20 a month for Netflix and you're not using it, that's another $240 you could use a year. That can go into your groceries, that can go into investments, into buying a nice outfit, paying off a bill. And the last thing that kills most people's wealth in their 20s and 30s is overspending on convenience. I mentioned before that DoorDash is pointless nowadays because the fees are much higher than they used to be. The quality of service, most times, your food's cold, it's messed up, maybe the bag is messy, your order's late. It is not worth the extra fees most people pay for DoorDash. It's not worth the extra fee. You might as well go to the store yourself, order the food, and bring it home by yourself. Actually, I'd say it's worth more spending your time to save money on DoorDash than it is to spend your money, than it is to save your time spending money on getting DoorDash. If you're really pressed for time and you have a lot of money and you have enough money, I don't suggest paying for convenience all the time. It's actually more inconvenient to have someone else deliver your food for you a lot of the time. As these are 4 or 5 things that are not worth your money, that are huge wealth killers in your 20s and your 30s, that if you can remove this or prevent this, you'll have an incredibly successful financial life going into your 30s, going into your 40s and 50s.